Don't even want to do it. Good evening, campers. It's me, Kieran, and today we are going to talk about Brazil's only author, Paulo Coelho. 11 Minutes is about a lady who finds herself in Geneva, and through having lots of sexual interactions with men, she finds what true love means. Wait, isn't this adultery? Didn't I literally covered this book? Why did I read the same book twice? Pelo amor de Lula. I'm fully aware that the shtick of Coelho is a vague plot with pseudo-intellectual niceties sprinkled throughout. I've read The Alchemist, I've read Adultery, I've read this, and I'm starting to think he has perfected the formula. He has perfected the formula to, like Kazuo Ishiguro, just regurgitate the same story over and over again, and people think, wow, Paulo Coelho. Before the Brazilians get feijoada de joelhos, there are some differences between Adultery and this book. First of all, I really enjoyed Adultery. Like, as much as we joke about Coelho, I quite enjoyed Adultery. This book is very similar. Yes, there's people doing work outside. Shut up. No one cares. People have to earn a living. Like, it's clearly ain't the studio. Shut up. Young Brazilian Maria falls in love and somehow finds herself in Geneva and also finds herself with no money. And so, because an Arab man offers her 1,000 euros, yes, wealthy Arab man, how wonderful a stereotype, he is willing to not only talk about art, but is willing to sleep with Maria for a lot of money. And Maria, with no money, goes okie dokie, and then finds herself being the best prostitute in all the land. Switzerland, Geneva, she's fairly popular. At the start of this journey, Maria sleeps with a man who likes art. But would you believe it, the person who is the real love interest at the end of this is an artist who won't have sex with her. Kind of, maybe. 11 Minutes is actually based on this book, 7 Minutes, of which I don't really know anything about. And this is as far as I'm willing to go. However, in the creation of this book, and what makes it different to Adultery, is that Coelho actually spoke to prostitutes. This is based on an actual prostitute's life. Does that sound like a good idea? One of my favourite moments of this book discusses that. Actually, before we talk about that, my favourite bit is where Paulo Coelho references his own book as basically being like, it's really good, like, you should check out The Alchemist. It's pretty good. I mean, it's somewhat iconic, but my favourite bit of this book is actually not the story itself. It's this little bit at the beginning, the dedication, where Paulo Coelho is talking about he's filling up bottles with miraculous water from a spring in Lourdes, a very religious place. And this man comes up to Paulo Coelho, recognises him and says, and I quote, he, the man, spoke of the importance of my books in his life, concluding, they make me dream. I have often heard these words before, and they always please me greatly. Like, wonderful, like, big old clap in the back. But it's the next sentence. It's the next sentence. The while I was in hospital made me giggle and chortle out of my foreskin. It was... At that moment, however, I felt really frightened because I knew that my new novel, 11 Minutes, dealt 11 minutes. Like, he's already... Like, I'm not going to finish the rest. I need not continue the sentence because that was the bit that I absolutely was just dilated with glee, thinking that this man has praised Coelho and he's gone, oh no, this man's going to hate me so much for my new book. Mentions it in the dedication, and to somewhat soften the blow, dedicates the book to this random guy he met. Paulo Coelho lives in a castle. What is going on? Why did Brazil choose for this man to be the only author of note? It's impressive. I hated that. It's not great. Okay, apart from the obvious male gaze that some people will just scream into the ether, I will say that Maria comes across very passive. Like, she's meant to be this, like, strong, independent woman, but through, like, the narrator breaking the narrative, alongside the break of the narrative through the diary entries that the narrator is also reading, there's a distance in towards Maria, and it feels as though everything just vaguely falls into her lap. There doesn't seem to be any stakes, apart from, will the sexy artist sleep with her? He won't. Yeah, maybe will. I've been too busy eye-rolling and huffing my way through 11 minutes. It's a book, and I suppose this is something to be said, that an author can write two very similar books and have two very different outcomes. And that is just true with some books. Some of them you love, some of them you hate, and they're vaguely the same thing. Some things work for others, which they didn't. And therefore, if you've read Adultery and hated it, maybe 11 minutes might be like similar enough that you understand what Coelho is doing. It has the same sort of like pedantic, isn't love so beautiful? Isn't the treasure within each other? 1,000 euros is 1,000 euros, eh? I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10. It's one of the worst things I've read this year, and I'd really like to stop reading Paulo Coelho now. Unless actually Veronica Dye sounds quite good. Oh, I'm gonna read all of them, aren't I?